Good afternoon, and welcome to our Facebook Live broadcast. I never know exactly what I'm going to say, especially in this opening, so bear with me. But most of all, what I want to say is thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your day, out of your busy life, um, out of your confinement, if you're still staying home, and spending an hour with me. I appreciate that. And that's what we work for, isn't it? Um, the time to be together, to share ideas, to talk about spirit, to organize our thoughts for the week, especially on a Sunday. I think to get ourselves pepped up and revved up and ready for whatever the week may bring. So, thank you for being here wherever here is for you. Whether we're live on Facebook on Sunday afternoon or if you're watching a replay on this page or the relevant spirituality page, um, or on YouTube, wherever it is you are, I'm glad you're here and I appreciate it. So, how's your week gone? How are how are things shaping up for you for the new week to come? We're kind of in a holding pattern, it seems like right now, doesn't it? It's like things are changing, but they're not changing quite as fast as they were, and we're adjusting to a whole new normal, whatever that may be for each of us, and it's going to be different for each of us. Some people are going back to work, some people are trying to find work, some people are working at home. There's all kinds of ways to work around, isn't there? A new normal. So, hello to all of you, Dana and Brenda and Laura. Hello, and Peggy. Uh, I'm glad you're all here. I really am. So far, it looks like it's Girls' Day, but I'm sure we'll have a couple of gentlemen joining us at some point, so we'll welcome them when they do. I've mentioned before, my little side thing only shows me a few things and then kind of freezes up, and it's sort of a big deal for me to get it to move. So if I don't respond to someone, it's not because I don't love you, it's because I can't see you. I don't know you're there. Cat fills me in a lot of times, but in the meantime, she gets busy too. So my little sidekick over there doing her thing with her headphones on, she looks very technical. Yeah, she, it's like a sound stage in here on Sunday and on Wednesday night. If any of you don't know, we also do this on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, same time, same bat channel, same station. Um, New topic. Don't know what Wednesday's going to be ever for sure. It's kind of off the top of my head. So you take your chances on Wednesday. But on Sunday, I'm a little bit more premeditated, which in this case is a good thing. So, well, I've got a minute here. How's your week gone?
Ginger's here, Jennifer's here, and Nancy de Santos.
Yay! Ginger, Jennifer, and Nancy. Did I get that right?
Uh-huh. And
Yay!
Betty is here.
Oh my goodness. Hey, it's getting better all the time. Hi, Betty. Glad you're here. Jen, glad you're always glad you're here. Uh, it's kind of like old home week, isn't it? I wonder sometimes if I should, if number one, if there is a way, and I'm sure there must be, and then if I should maybe just edit these tapes down a little bit and cut out all the hellos and stuff. But I feel so good about them, and I don't really want to do that. So if you're new, know that I will get to the topic in a minute. I really will. So hang in there with us. And if you're an old soul, as it were, then you already know that I'll get there. And I hope you like me saying hi to you because I sure do. Um, it's been a week, hasn't it? It's been hot. It's been kind of muggy. We we had what looked like a fire at one point, just the hills just in back of us, which is a little traumatizing for those of us that made it through the Thomas fire, because it's been 2.5 years, and we have neighbors who are just now moving back in, and a few neighbors who are just now beginning to work on the foundation of their property and and get things straightened out with their architects so that they can start rebuilding. So it's a process. Boy, I don't recommend it to anybody. I really don't. A lot of people have given up and have simply sold the land. Um, Others are still deciding what to do. Some people were underinsured, and so they're making allowances for that. It's a big process. That and the city, in its wisdom, I think, has decided to change a lot of the rules for getting permits and whatnot because of what happened before. They want to make it safer, but that makes it harder, doesn't it, to rebuild? You can't just show up one day and start putting wood on your property and building things. They don't let you do it that way. And it's been a real learning experience, even from our perspective. And we had a third of the house that we had to fix, and a lot of the stuff inside because of smoke damage and whatnot. But we didn't lose our house as most of our neighbors did. So I don't wish that learning curve on anyone. And if you can avoid it, please do. Please do. Let's see, anybody else? Jefferson, good morning, sweetheart. Thank you, and I love Sundays with Jefferson, so you make my day.
Heidi Hirsch is on.
Heidi's here? Oh, good. People are just popping in like crazy. This is lovely. I love that. So, having said hello, I think, to everyone, let's let's talk about what we're here to talk about, which today is mastery and fire. Mastery and fire. I like the thought. I like just the pictures that those words create in my mind. And you know how sometimes ideas and words get stuck in your mind and then keep going round and round and round? I mean, kind of like it's a small world and I'm sorry, don't go there. Like an uninvited theme song. And sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's annoying. Um, but the words master and mastery kept popping into my head and into my life this week. A friend was trying to master an idea. Another friend was mastering a subject. And then I found an article that suggested that the key to success was to gain mastery over a particular thought or idea or challenge. All of which got me to thinking about mastery in general, or more specifically, masters. Those seemingly unique individuals who excelled at their chosen field and to whom we all owe a great deal of gratitude for the difference that they have made in our lives. Their art has touched us. Their music has stirred our soul. Their work seems to be ageless and reaches out of their era into ours as though it was born for us. Most of us never actually knew them, but we know their work. Jesus, Moses, Buddha, Michelangelo, Leonardo, Galileo, Einstein. Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, Brahms, Emerson, Thoreau, Steinbeck, Hemingway, Michener, all incidentally recognizable to the world by one name. And then those other more recent names who are certainly playing in the Masters League: Mother Teresa, Gandhi, King, Ellington, Gaga, Tubman. Those who so excelled at doing their thing that they have had an impact, a positive impact on the life of their world. More simply, maybe by my definition, those who I believe in their lifetime looked in the mirror in the morning and celebrated, got excited by the life that it reflected. Mastery, masters. It doesn't just happen, I don't think. In each of our lives, there is a pattern of belief and behavior that is constant and predictable. Now, please note that I'm not saying that they were all successful in every area of their lives. Some were notoriously unbalanced. But where they were successful, you can see the pattern emerging. And I believe that pattern, that there is a pattern in each of our lives for mastery. A pattern for the accomplishment of our deepest desires and fondest dreams. A pattern for creating of each of our lives a masterpiece of joy and love, of abundance and well-being, physical, mental, and emotional. A masterpiece of success, unmet in common hours. But as with music and writing and painting and sculpture and science and industry and astrophysics, a successful life is more easily and predictably achieved when one understands and uses a process. And in life, as in art, the process of creation is nearly identical. The process, both in art and in life, is recognizable if we are willing to look. We begin, as God did in the beginning, with seemingly nothing. Remember, the earth was without form and void. We begin, if we are wise, with an empty canvas or a block of stone or a musical instrument that is nothing until we move it. Now, as in art, we could paint over an old existing picture, we could. But we run the risk then that sooner or later the old will bleed through, coloring the new with ghosts of the old, dulling the crispness of the new details with the shadows of the old. Better that we start fresh. Which in our lives looks like releasing and forgiving, loving, repenting, rethinking, wherever we must. And we must, if we are to let go of mediocrity and create a real masterpiece. Then we must learn whatever it is we must learn in order to work with the tools that we will gather. If we are an artist, we perhaps need to learn about basic color combinations. You will paint a lot better and a lot faster if you understand that yellow and blue make green than if you just start mushing everything together and wonder why you don't have a good green. So once we have learned the basics of our desire, then we must gather the tools of our desire. You and I, we are spiritual beings. And our tools are thought, faith, prayer, meditation, and action. Before we can get our act together, we must get our thoughts and our tools together in one place. In this case, within. It is then, once the idea is gathered, once the thoughts are gathered, once the tools are brought together, it is then, in an open mind, that the scientist discovers the laws that define his work. The artist finds his muse. The saint draws forth her enlightenment. The politician attracts his constituency. The pastor finds her flock. Each of these artists courts a facet of the spectrum that is contained in the wholeness of God. And according to the focus of each of these, finds what he or she seeks. They each tap into the same unlimited source, spirit, creation, but each has a different receptivity, a different focus, a different channel that is open because of their desire. And so each draws in a different element of the totality of God. You right out there listening to me today, you are an individual center of God's life. You are the outcome of God's desire to express life in a new and a unique way. That's why you're here. The whole meaning of life is to provide an avenue, an open channel for this divine expression, so that God can step anew into the world as you and be and do what it has never, ever done before, never been capable of doing before, because you weren't here yet. But once that avenue has been created, when the master's hand lifts the brush, when the master's eye sees the image, when the master's mind hears the music or the words or feels the beauty, in that moment, something new and exciting is born into the world. There is a point, I think, at which we recognize that something beyond the norm is occurring. It's the moment when we realize that Mrs. Fields is not just a housekeeper, that Mary Kay is not just a cosmetic sales lady, that J.K. Rowling's is not just an unemployed single mother on welfare daydreaming in a coffee shop, that Da Vinci was not just a painter, that Helen Keller was more than her handicap, that Martin Luther King was more than a preacher. Mastery. Ordinary people living extraordinary lives, creating extraordinary contributions to the lives of the whole. And each, I believe, saw their lives as a canvas that, that was, in spite of any past history or tradition or situation, that was an empty canvas ready to receive a remarkable new experience. How do I know? I can tell you this: no one needed to tell me. Each of their lives told the story. Their lives and their work was their message. There's a story told of Salvador Dali, who was in an art gallery one day when a lady in the gallery said to him, "Sir, I don't understand your masterpiece." And Dali replied, "Madam, though my life is a masterpiece, even I don't understand all of the pictures." We don't always understand all of the pictures, do we? And I think we don't need to. Really, we don't. What we do need to understand is this: we are surrounded by and have our being in a wisdom that knows all things and is itself the very essence of beauty and truth and love, of wholeness and peace. All that we could ever need is within it, as are we. And we have access to it and draw our lives from it. But what we draw from it, we must draw through the channel of our own minds and lives. How much can we draw? How much of what we imagine can really be ours? All of it. How much can we use? As much as we can hold in our consciousness as being our own. And how much can we hold? As much as we make room for by emptying our hearts and minds of anything unlike the truth, the love, the beauty, the answers that we seek. Rufus Wainwright once wrote, "Why be in music? Why write songs if you can't use them to explore life or an idealized vision of life?" I believe, he wrote, a lot of our lives are spent asleep. And what I've been trying to do is hold on to those moments when a little spark cuts through the fog and nudges you. There is no limit to the possibilities. There is no boundary to what we may yet be. We are, each of us, masters in waiting. Waiting to see what will next catch our fancy or tug at our hearts long enough to keep our attention and cause us to want to tell the world through whatever channel has captured our interest or fired our passion. When we have done our work, when we have released the past and our addiction to our own perceived limitations, when we have committed our time and our energies to something larger than our complaints and our regrets or our transgressions, then the canvas is clear. Then we are ready. When the scientist, the actor, the philosopher, the priest, the professor, the artist, how many more can I think of? The humanitarian, the empire builder, the cookie maker, all perceive a glimpse of the divine, a glimpse of the ideal, a sudden flash of the dream. Then each speaks, creates, acts, bakes in his own language, through her own medium. That, that language which transcends the accepted limitations of humanity, and setting fire to their hearts and minds creates a masterpiece. Just as art, to be truly accomplished, must be seen through the eyes of an artist, so must life. These are not words for the misbegotten. They are not words for the disbeliever. These are spiritual truths, and they must be spiritually understood. It doesn't take much. We are intrinsically spiritual beings, and so we speak the language. It takes simply an open mind and an open heart and a willingness to set aside old perceptions and assume a higher truth. It is a willingness to go to spirit, not for the answers, not certainly for salvation, but for the fire that leads us to find the answer and to the ways and means that help us to realize the dream. The way, if you are looking for the way, is to go to spirit, to creation itself, for the inner fire, the passion that makes all things, however impossible they may seem, absolutely possible. I have in the past quoted a Karita Kent lithograph that always hangs in my office. I can see it right now. On it are the words of Paderewski from the play Gideon. And the angel says, "It is passion, Gideon, that carries man to God. And passion is a bulky beast. Few men ever let it out of the stable. It brooks no bridle. Indeed, it bridles you. It rides the rider. Yet it inspirits man's sessile soul above his own inadequate world, and makes real such things as beauty, fancy, love, and God, and all those other things that are not quite molecular, but are." Then, in the largest letters possible on the poster, the angel says, "Passion is the very fact of God in man that makes him other than a brute." Passion is the very fact of God in man and woman. The angel goes on, "I must own, Gideon, that yours was an old and cold and settled soul. And I huffed and puffed quite a bit before I found the least flame of passion in you. And Gideon says, what is it you love in me, Lord? These other men were all saints and prophets, but I'm an ordinary sort. I am as all men are. And the angel replies, well, perhaps that is your special attraction, your ordinariness. I would have plain men love me, not just saints. And now a bit of a leap, though not, from Chayefsky to Pope Francis, who said, from my point of view, God is the light that illuminates the darkness, even if it does not yet dissolve it. And a spark of divine light is within each of us. Within and waiting. And I believe that when we are ready, when we take those first steps, when we prepare our minds and hearts by forgetting and releasing and letting go, when we become a blank canvas, we will find a ready response from a willing creation, a giving universe, an inspired spirit. And then finally, a picture emerges from the empty canvas or the block of marble or the strings of the instrument. So all that we envision for our lives will move from the invisible to the visible, into being, into life in the world. And then the hand of creation moves once again. Once again, the darkness is separated from the light. And the light is golden. And out of our own experience, we will have readied the foundation upon which the creation will form the masterpiece of our lives. Whatever it is that is in your heart to do, God's not done with you yet. But you may have a little work to do, a little replacing of the canvas, a little forgiving, a little letting go. You know what it is, don't you? What is standing in the way of your masterpiece? Are you ready? Are you ready for that? Are you ready to be a creator? Clear the path. Get the tools. Take the step. It begins with an idea, a willingness, an idea that incites passion. Because, as the angel said, passion is the very fact of God in man and in woman. Thank you. thank you for being here, for listening, for letting me share my passion with you. Thank you. If you get the opportunity, go online and Google Corita Kent and passion, and you can see my lithograph. I would turn the camera to it, but I don't want to start messing with the tech. You know what happens when I do that. Um, I'm not. I'm not allowed. I've just been told I'm not allowed to do that. So we'll just leave the camera alone. But Google it, please. You might learn a little bit more about Corita Kent, who was an amazing woman in an amazing time, and her art, which is world changing. At the time of the Berrigan brothers in the, gosh, 60s. Am I right in my times? She, uh, she made a difference. She made a difference in many lives. Many of the women of her order made a difference, as a matter of fact. Some of you are old enough to remember when the Pope suggested that the women, especially in holy orders, got out of their habits and got to the streets and started doing some good. And and the Immaculate Heart nuns, of which Corita Kent was one, uh, took him at his word and did that and got out of their habits. And Corita painted up a storm as she always did. And many of the other nuns went to work in the world in plain clothes and were just doing remarkable work. And then the Archbishop of Los Angeles said, okay, enough of the experiment. Um, Put the habits back on and go back to work. And they said, no, we don't think so. And we're making a bigger difference. This is really changing people's lives. And he said, ultimatum, get back in the habits and behave. And that was probably what really set them off. At any rate, they broke away. They still consider themselves a Catholic order, but not, and they are still around, many of them, but not officially, sort of an unofficial Catholic order. And they allowed men to join their group, which never would have happened before. And I don't think any of them, well, some of them probably, but most of them never put habits back on again. They simply became women who changed the world. Remarkable women. One of them was a major. Cactus held up a sign that says lay Catholic order, so I guess they're officially a lay Catholic order, as opposed to a group of religious. One of the Immaculate Hearts was my mentor in high school, and my big yes to public speaking and seeing my own ability to do that. The same woman, I'm not going to call her a nun because I don't think she officially was by then, was CAC's mentor years later. It's one of the things we found we had in common very early on. Sister Ruth Marie Gibbons. She was Sister Ruth to me. She was Ruth to CAC. And we went together to her Golden Jubilee celebration while she was still alive. Uh, it was a remarkable time. She was a remarkable woman. Most of them were. And they were willing to forgive and let go and release what they had been holding on to in order to do something even greater. They were inspiring. And look them up too while you're Googling. If
They kept their property. They took it away.
they did. CAC reminds me, they kept all their property. How they managed to do that is a little beyond me, but I guess they had it in their name. And Immaculate Heart High School in Los Angeles Um, and the property above it, which was the Immaculate Heart College. They kept their property. They kept a beautiful, beautiful retreat center in Santa Barbara um, that is still open to the public and which used to be my runaway to place when I needed to do that and just get a couple of days. Um, remarkable women, remarkable. Uh, changed my life, certainly. I know they changed Cac's life. And, they might still change yours because when you're a master at something, your work is ageless. So at least look up Corita Kent. Corita, Kent, Kent. And see what that leads you to. She's a remarkable inspiration. Ah, thank you, Laura. This is my passion. This really is my passion. When we moved to Cambria, I spent a couple of years getting healthy and then said, okay, now what? What am I going to do? I'm getting bored quickly. I have to do something. And I started doing weddings, and I still do weddings, and I love to do weddings. It's very fun. But this is my passion. This is my passion. Speaking to you, telling you the truth as I understand it from my heart, and grateful that you are here. So share this with friends and family. Tell them to hook in and give it a try, um, or introduce them to YouTube. That's not quite so frightening, maybe, as going on a Facebook page. The talks are all here on my page. If you just keep going down, they're all there somewhere. They're all also on the Relevant Spirituality Facebook page. We're working on getting them all on the Relevant Spirituality site. There turned out to be a glitch. So we're working on the glitch, and I'm not the one working on it, so there is hope for it. Our webmaster, who is a genius with these things, is figuring it all out. And soon the talks will all be there. But they're all also on YouTube. So if you just go to YouTube and put Marlene Morris channel, I think, it'll get you there. And it might be a great way to introduce people to this philosophy and these ideas and how their life can be better, more exciting, more fulfilling, which is what we all want, don't we? Donna Wells said she had the poster by Corita Kent that said, yes, war is not healthy for children and other living creatures. That's Corita. Absolutely is Corita. Um,
Damn everything but the circus.
it's this one that says damn everything but the circus. Very much Corita. And actually a whole series of lithographs based on that theme. We have a second one hanging in our office that says, to see again what I have seen before. That one touches me every time. Because what I know for each of us is that we have all had moments when everything was so clear. Maybe it was just a flash. Maybe it was a few minutes. Maybe it was an hour in time. But moments when there wasn't a doubt in our mind about the presence of the divine, about our own abilities, about the fact that we could tap into something greater than we are. And in the moments when I forget, in the moments when I get caught up in appearances, I look at that lithograph and long to see again what I have seen before, to go back to that moment, to go back to that pure essence of knowing and believing. No, it's beyond believing. It's knowing, without a doubt, when no appearance could shake things. We all have times when we forget. We all do. We all have moments when the appearances seem so huge, so menacing, that we forget that we're spiritual beings. We forget that the divine is always there. And in those moments, we just need something to remind us. Karita's work does that for me. It's why I make sure it's in the office where I spend most of my time, and I make sure it's on the wall that I get to stare at more often. Kako has better memory than I do, I think, has to turn around to look at it. I just have to look up. And there it is. Find the reminders. Find those things that bring the truth alive and back for you. Yes, Jennifer, it is the feeling and the knowing that we long for. But posting reminders around us will take us back. It's all in there. It's all in there. Our memory contains everything that has ever happened. It's all in there. We have a sense memory that says, just think about it for a moment. Think about a lemon for a moment, and can't you just everything goes, woo, lemon, got it. Got it. I can smell it, I can taste it, it's all right there. It's all right there within you. The memory of the feeling and the knowing is there. And when something helps remind us of the moment, we return to the moment. And we are changed. Well, I think it's time to pray. Let's do that. Let's close our eyes if that's comfortable. Or just soft focus. Whatever works best for you. And I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath and allow that breath to awaken you. Allow that breath to clean out the cobwebs, to clear away the fog, to light up the darkness. Another deep inhale. And more clarity, more clearing. And as you exhale, allow yourself to let go. Any old animosities you are carrying, any old sadness that is dragging you down, any old memory or resentment that is causing darkness in the purity of your soul. Let go. Let go. Let go. And another deep cleansing breath. And now I invite you to remember. If you have had that moment of absolute knowing, remember it as clearly as you possibly can. Allow it to come back to you so that you can taste it, feel it, sense it, see it, hear it, be in it once again. If you do not believe you have had such a moment, then imagine what it would be like. Place it where you wish to place it. Dress the scene how you would dress the scene. And know that what you are configuring, what you are creating, this masterpiece that you are seeing is real. It is your place, your spot, your knowing. It is your connection to the divine, and at some time in some place, this has been or will be real for you. Allow yourself to know that. Because in this moment, we are each of us opening up to divine inspiration, to the influx of creativity, to passion, which is the very fact of God within us. And that passion now lights a fire. And in this intense clarity, we know what it is we need to do now. We see the next step. We feel the next urge. We know what is ours to do, and we are passionate about doing it. And we know as well that the fire that we have lit, this passion which we have ignited this morning, will not go out. Cannot be put out. And will simply continue to burn brightly within us, lighting the way, warming the coldness, showing the path. We are divine beings. We are individualized expression of the One. And we have, each of us, work to do. We are called by the divine to do it. And whatever it may be, we absolutely know that we will be inspired, we will be guided, doors will open, solutions will appear, we will have what we need. For we have called forth the God within us, and it will not be denied. Another deep breath. And I give thanks for the good that will come of this hour that we have spent together, for the newness that will be born into the world, for the new, unique expressions of the divine that will simply tumble out of our lives. for the presence of creation that wells up now within each of us and expresses through each of us in our own unique way. We are here to make a difference, and make a difference indeed we do. And so it is. And so we let it be. Well, we have work to do, don't we? And I suppose we should be about it. Know that it is sacred work, whatever it looks like. Whatever your muse whispers in your ear, whatever tool you decide to pick up, whatever work it is that you are called to do, know that it is in fact a calling. If you've ever had a Mrs. Fields cookie, you know that. God shows up in the most amazing ways. Let God show up as you this week. Let your divine self out into the world. Remember, you are already a masterpiece. May I suggest that you go create more. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you to those of you who share the videos. Much, much, much appreciated. Invite friends. Let's grow this community. Let's make it something spectacular. There's a little side job for all of you. Help me build this, and we will build a better world together. I love you. I'll see you Wednesday. Back here Sunday at the same time. If you need a little refresher, you know where to find me. See you there.